Hello, and welcome to Ancient Mysteries. Today, we journey into one of the most mysterious places on Earth, a region where enormous ships have vanished without leaving a single piece of wreckage, where experienced pilots have disappeared from clear blue skies, where compasses have spun wildly, radios have fallen silent, and rescue teams have sometimes vanished while searching for those already lost. This place has fascinated the world for generations. Some believe it hides a secret force beneath the ocean. Others believe it is nothing more than a collection of exaggerated stories. But even today, no single explanation has satisfied everyone. Welcome to the Bermuda Triangle. Stretching between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, this vast area of the Atlantic Ocean covers nearly 500,000 square miles. It is one of the busiest shipping lanes and flight corridors in the world. Every day, hundreds of ships and aircraft safely pass through these waters. Yet over the past century, this region has earned a reputation unlike anywhere else on Earth. A reputation built upon disappearances that still fuel debate today. Stories of missing vessels began long before the modern age. Some historians believe the mystery started more than 500 years ago. In October 1492, Christopher Columbus was crossing the Atlantic Ocean during his first voyage to the Americas. According to entries in his journal, strange events occurred while sailing through these waters. One evening, Columbus reported seeing an unusual light moving across the horizon. It appeared suddenly. It disappeared just as quickly. His crew could not explain what they had witnessed. Soon afterward, another strange event took place. Columbus noticed that his compass no longer pointed toward true north as expected. The needle seemed to drift. His experienced sailors became deeply concerned. At that time, navigation depended almost entirely on the compass. If the compass could no longer be trusted, every ship crossing the ocean could become hopelessly lost. Columbus chose not to reveal the full extent of the problem to his crew. He feared panic. Instead, he quietly adjusted the recorded course while trying to understand what was happening. Today, scientists know that Earth's magnetic field is not perfectly uniform. Small variations can cause compass readings to shift slightly. However, in the 15th century, such knowledge did not exist. For Columbus and his sailors, these strange compass movements seemed almost supernatural. Whether these events are connected to the Bermuda Triangle remains uncertain, but they became one of the earliest stories later associated with its legend. As centuries passed, sailors continued to tell stories of strange lights, unexplained fog, and unusual weather. Many of these tales spread through ports across Europe and the Americas. Some stories grew larger with every retelling. Others may have contained genuine observations that could never be fully explained. By the early 20th century, disappearances in the region began attracting worldwide attention. Unlike old sailors' tales, these incidents involved modern steel ships, trained crews, and advanced navigation equipment. If technology had improved so dramatically, how could entire vessels still disappear? This question would soon become one of history's greatest mysteries. One of the first major incidents occurred in March 1918. The ship was called USS Cyclops. At nearly 540 feet long, it was one of the largest vessels ever operated by the United States Navy. The massive cargo ship had served successfully during World War I. It was built to transport enormous quantities of coal, fuel, and military supplies across the Atlantic. In early March, the Cyclops departed from Barbados carrying more than 10,000 tons of manganese ore. The cargo was extremely heavy. On board were over 300 crew members and passengers. Their destination was Baltimore. Weather reports indicated no major storm. The sea appeared relatively calm. Everything suggested the voyage would be routine. Then, the ship simply vanished. No distress signal. No wreckage. No lifeboats. No floating debris. Nothing. The United States Navy launched one of the largest search operations of its time. Ships searched the surrounding waters. Nearby ports were contacted. Possible routes were investigated. Weeks passed, then months. Not a single trace of USS Cyclops was ever found. More than 300 people disappeared without explanation. To this day, it remains the largest non-combat loss of life in United States naval history. Investigators proposed numerous explanations. Perhaps the cargo shifted during rough seas. Maybe one of the ship's engines failed. Some suspected structural failure caused by the tremendous weight of the manganese, or others believed a German submarine may have attacked the vessel during wartime. However, no evidence has ever confirmed any of these theories. No submarine logs mention such an attack. No wreck has ever been discovered. The disappearance of USS Cyclops transformed the Bermuda Triangle from maritime folklore into an international mystery. For many people, this was no longer simply a collection of old legends. It was now a documented event involving hundreds of missing lives. And even stranger events were still to come. None would become more famous than Flight 19, the disappearance that shocked the world. December 5, 1945. The Second World War had ended only a few months earlier. The United States Navy was carrying out routine training missions from its Naval Air Station in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That afternoon, 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers prepared for what should have been an ordinary navigation exercise. The mission was simple. Fly east over Fly east over the Atlantic Ocean. Drop practice bombs over a designated target. Continue north for a short distance. Then turn west and return safely to base. The entire flight was expected to last only a few hours. Nothing about the mission suggested danger. The weather was excellent. Visibility was clear. The sea was calm. The aircraft had been carefully inspected. The pilots were experienced military aviators. Leading the formation was Lieutenant Charles Taylor, a pilot with more than 2,500 hours of flight experience. Few people imagined that these 5 aircraft would soon become part of one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. At exactly 2:10 in the afternoon, Flight 19 took off. Everything went according to plan during the first stage of the mission. The practice bombing exercise was completed successfully. The pilots reported no problems. Then, shortly after turning toward home, something changed. Radio operators at the naval base received an unexpected transmission. Lieutenant Taylor sounded confused. "My compass isn't working." Moments later, another message arrived. "I can't determine where we are." At first, the instructors on the ground believed it was a minor navigation error. They calmly instructed Taylor to turn west. No matter where he was, flying west would eventually lead him back to the Florida coast. But Taylor hesitated. He answered with words that have become famous throughout the world. "We don't know which way is west." As the minutes passed, the confusion grew worse. The pilots began arguing with one another over the radio. Some believed they were flying over the Florida Keys. Others insisted they were somewhere far out in the Atlantic Ocean. Without reliable compasses, every direction seemed uncertain. Fuel was slowly running out. Ground controllers repeatedly attempted to guide the formation back toward land. But every instruction seemed to create more uncertainty. One pilot suggested that everyone simply fly west together. Another insisted that their commander must know the correct direction. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Taylor became increasingly convinced that they were flying over the Gulf of Mexico. If he truly believed this, turning east would seem like the logical decision. But if he was actually over the Atlantic, turning east would carry the aircraft even farther away from safety. Hour after hour, the voices on the radio became weaker. One transmission reported that the ocean itself looked unusual. Another described everything appearing strangely unfamiliar. The exact wording of these final messages has been debated for decades. Some recordings were incomplete. Others were never preserved. As darkness approached, panic began spreading throughout the control tower. The 5 aircraft had enough fuel for only a limited time. If they could not locate land soon, they would be forced to ditch into the ocean. Landing a large military bomber on rough Atlantic waters at night was incredibly dangerous. The chances of survival were very small. The final radio transmissions became almost impossible to understand. Static filled the airwaves. The voices faded. Then, silence. Flight 19 had disappeared. The United States Navy immediately launched a massive rescue operation. Within minutes, a large Martin PBM Mariner flying boat was dispatched to search for the missing aircraft. The rescue crew consisted of 13 highly trained servicemen. They were confident they would locate the lost bombers. But only 20 minutes after takeoff, the rescue aircraft also disappeared completely. One nearby merchant ship later reported seeing a tremendous explosion in the sky. The crew described a large fireball followed by burning fuel floating on the surface of the ocean. Some investigators believe the PBM Mariner exploded because of a fuel vapor ignition, a known weakness of that aircraft model. If true, this would explain the disappearance of the rescue plane. But it did nothing to explain the fate of Flight 19 itself. For several days, the Navy searched thousands of square miles of ocean. Ships crossed the Atlantic. Aircraft flew endless search patterns. Every possible route was examined. No wreckage was found. No life rafts. No oil slicks. No bodies. No aircraft. Nothing. The official investigation concluded that the cause of the disappearance could not be determined with certainty. The final report simply stated, "Cause unknown." Over the decades, researchers have proposed many explanations. Perhaps Lieutenant Taylor mistakenly believed he was somewhere he was not. Perhaps instrument failures created overwhelming confusion. Perhaps worsening weather pushed the aircraft farther out to sea. Or perhaps several small mistakes combined into one tragic disaster. Even today, historians continue to debate what truly happened that afternoon. But one fact remains unchanged. 5 military aircraft, 14 experienced airmen, and an entire rescue plane vanished into one of the most mysterious regions on Earth. The story of Flight 19 became the event that transformed the Bermuda Triangle into a worldwide legend. Newspapers across the globe reported the disappearance. Books were written. Television documentaries followed. The mystery captured the imagination of millions. Yet Flight 19 would not be the last unexplained disappearance linked to these waters. Many more ships and aircraft would vanish over the decades. Each new incident added another layer to the legend. And as the number of stories grew, so did the theories. Could powerful natural forces be responsible? Or was something far stranger hiding beneath the waves? In the next chapter, we explore the scientific explanations, the mysterious theories, and the incredible ideas that continue to fuel the legend of the Bermuda Triangle to this very day. The mystery that still has no explanation. Science, legends, and the search for answers. By the 1960s, the Bermuda Triangle had become one of the world's greatest mysteries. Newspapers published dramatic headlines. Television documentaries attracted millions of viewers. Books claimed that unknown forces were at work beneath the Atlantic Ocean. Every new disappearance seemed to strengthen the legend. But while the public searched for extraordinary explanations, scientists began asking a different question. Could all of these mysterious events have perfectly ordinary causes? Or was there truly something unusual about this region of the ocean? To answer that question, researchers first looked beneath the surface. The Atlantic Ocean around the Bermuda Triangle is far from calm. Powerful currents constantly move through the region. The famous Gulf Stream flows like a giant river within the sea. Moving at speeds of up to 5 miles per hour, it carries enormous amounts of water northward. If a ship sinks in these waters, the current can quickly scatter floating debris across hundreds of miles. Even aircraft wreckage can disappear surprisingly fast. What might seem like an impossible disappearance could simply become impossible to locate. Weather also plays a major role. Although the Caribbean often appears peaceful, conditions can change with incredible speed. Thunderstorms can form within minutes. Towering waves can appear without warning. Hurricanes regularly cross the region during the summer and autumn months. Modern satellites can now detect many of these dangerous systems. But decades ago, pilots and sailors often had little warning before entering severe weather. Another theory involves an invisible danger hidden beneath the ocean floor. Scientists have discovered enormous deposits of methane trapped inside frozen sediments, known as methane hydrates. Under certain conditions, these deposits can suddenly release large amounts of gas. If enough methane rises through the water, it could reduce the water's density. In theory, a ship floating directly above such a release could lose buoyancy and sink much faster than expected. At the same time, methane entering an aircraft engine might interfere with combustion. Although laboratory experiments suggest this is possible under specific conditions, there is very little evidence that massive methane eruptions occur frequently enough to explain every disappearance in the Bermuda Triangle. Even so, the theory remains one of the most discussed scientific possibilities. Another explanation comes from the sky. Meteorologists have identified powerful weather events known as microbursts. A microburst occurs when a column of cold air crashes downward from a thunderstorm before spreading rapidly across the surface. For aircraft flying at low altitude, these sudden wind shifts can be extremely dangerous. Pilots may lose lift in only a matter of seconds. Even experienced crews have struggled to recover from such conditions. Combined with poor visibility and heavy rain, a microburst can quickly become deadly. The ocean itself can also produce terrifying surprises. Researchers now know that so-called rogue waves are real. For many years, sailors believed stories of enormous walls of water were simply exaggerated sea tales. Today, satellite observations have confirmed that rogue waves exist. These waves can rise more than 80 feet into the air. They appear suddenly. They often arrive without warning. And they possess enough force to damage even large modern ships. A single rogue wave striking at the wrong angle could cause catastrophic flooding within moments. Perhaps the mystery is not supernatural after all. Perhaps nature alone is powerful enough. Yet despite these scientific explanations, many people remain unconvinced. Because some reports include details that seem difficult to explain. Pilots have described brilliant lights appearing above the ocean. Some sailors have reported strange glowing fog surrounding their vessels. Others claim that electronic equipment suddenly failed before returning to normal minutes later. Most of these accounts remain unverified. Some may have been influenced by stress, fear, or unusual weather conditions. Others may simply reflect how easily extraordinary stories grow over time. But for believers, these reports suggest something far stranger. One of the most popular theories connects the Bermuda Triangle with the lost civilization of Atlantis. According to this idea, the advanced civilization described by Plato did not disappear completely. Instead, its ruins remain hidden beneath the Atlantic Ocean. Some writers claim that ancient Atlanteans possessed powerful energy crystals capable of generating enormous forces. Even today, they suggest these mysterious devices continue operating beneath the sea, disrupting navigation systems and causing ships and aircraft to lose their way. No archaeological evidence has ever confirmed the existence of such technology. Nevertheless, the theory became extremely popular during the 20th century. It inspired countless books, television programs, and films. Another extraordinary explanation points beyond our planet. Some believe the Bermuda Triangle is connected to extraterrestrial activity. According to these theories, unidentified flying objects have been seen entering and leaving the ocean. Supporters argue that alien spacecraft may operate from hidden underwater bases. Others believe certain disappearances were actually abductions rather than accidents. Once again, no scientific evidence supports these claims. Yet they continue to capture the imagination of millions around the world. There are even theories involving time distortions. Some pilots have reported flying through unusual clouds or glowing tunnels where their instruments behaved strangely. A few later claimed that less time had passed than expected. Could space and time somehow behave differently within the Bermuda Triangle? Modern physics provides no evidence that such natural time portals exist. Still, these stories continue to fuel one of the world's greatest legends. Perhaps the greatest mystery is not what happened within the Bermuda Triangle. Perhaps the greatest mystery is why these stories continue to fascinate us. Why are we so drawn to places where the unknown still exists? Why do mysteries survive even when science offers reasonable explanations? Maybe because deep inside, humanity has always searched for places where the impossible still feels possible. And the Bermuda Triangle remains one of those places. But before reaching a final conclusion, there is one last question we must ask. Does the Bermuda Triangle truly deserve its frightening reputation? Or has one of history's greatest mysteries been created by misunderstanding, coincidence, and sensational storytelling? In the final chapter, we examine the evidence one last time and explore whether the legend is stronger than the facts, or whether the truth may be even more fascinating. As the legend of the Bermuda Triangle spread across the world, one important question remained. Was this region truly more dangerous than any other part of the ocean? Or had decades of sensational stories created a mystery larger than reality itself? To answer that question, researchers began examining thousands of accident reports. Instead of focusing on legends, they turned to official records. What they found surprised many people. The Bermuda Triangle is one of the busiest transportation corridors on Earth. Every single day, hundreds of commercial aircraft cross its skies. Cargo ships, cruise liners, private yachts, fishing boats, and military vessels travel through these waters almost continuously. In fact, millions of people safely pass through the Bermuda Triangle every year without experiencing anything unusual. The United States Coast Guard has repeatedly stated that there is no evidence suggesting the Bermuda Triangle is more dangerous than other heavily traveled regions of the world's oceans. According to their investigations, nearly every disappearance can be explained by a combination of weather, human error, mechanical failure, or navigational mistakes. Lloyd's of London, one of the world's oldest and most respected maritime insurance organizations, has reached a similar conclusion. If the Bermuda Triangle truly posed an extraordinary danger, insurance companies would charge significantly higher premiums for ships traveling through the region. But they do not. To them, the Bermuda Triangle presents no unusual statistical risk compared with many other parts of the Atlantic Ocean. This conclusion surprises many people, because the legend often feels far more convincing than the numbers themselves. Part of the reason lies in the way stories spread. During the 1950s and 1960s, newspapers discovered that mysterious disappearances attracted enormous public attention. Headlines became more dramatic. Books added details that were never included in official reports. Television documentaries often emphasized mystery while ignoring ordinary explanations. Some authors even combined completely unrelated incidents into a single narrative. Over time, fact and fiction became increasingly difficult to separate. One famous example involved ships that were said to have vanished without warning. Years later, investigators discovered that several of those vessels had actually sunk hundreds of miles outside the commonly accepted boundaries of the Bermuda Triangle. Others had encountered powerful hurricanes whose existence was not widely known when the original stories were published. In some cases, ships believed to have disappeared forever were eventually found. Their stories simply never became as famous as the mystery itself. This phenomenon is known as confirmation bias. When people already believe in a mystery, they naturally notice information that supports their belief. At the same time, they often overlook evidence that points toward more ordinary explanations. This does not mean every disappearance has been solved. Far from it. Some cases remain genuine mysteries. The ocean is vast. Even with today's technology, locating wreckage thousands of meters below the surface is an enormous challenge. Modern sonar, underwater drones, and satellite imaging have transformed ocean exploration. Yet more than 80% of the world's oceans remain unexplored in detail. There are underwater mountains taller than many peaks on land. Deep trenches where sunlight has never reached. Powerful currents capable of carrying debris hundreds of miles in only a few days. In such an environment, it is entirely possible for evidence to remain hidden for decades, or even forever. Every few years, new discoveries remind us how little we truly know about the deep sea. Scientists continue to discover unknown species, hidden underwater volcanoes, and enormous geological formations that had escaped human observation for centuries. If our understanding of the ocean is still incomplete, perhaps it is not surprising that some disappearances remain unexplained. But unexplained does not necessarily mean supernatural. It simply means that the evidence has not yet been found. Still, for many people, facts alone cannot erase the fascination. Because the Bermuda Triangle represents something larger than missing ships or aircraft. It represents humanity's endless attraction to the unknown. The idea that somewhere on our planet, mysteries still exist. Places where science has not answered every question. Places where imagination continues to sail alongside reality. Perhaps that is why the legend has survived for so many generations. Not because every story is true, but because every story invites us to wonder. And sometimes, wonder is far more powerful than certainty. For decades, the Bermuda Triangle has been described as the most mysterious place on Earth. But is it really unique? Or are there other places around the world where similar disappearances have occurred? Surprisingly, the answer is yes. Thousands of miles away, in the western Pacific Ocean, lies another region surrounded by mystery. It is known as the Dragon's Triangle. Some call it the Devil's Sea. Located south of Japan, This area has gained a reputation strikingly similar to that of the Bermuda Triangle. For centuries, Japanese fishermen spoke of strange lights dancing above the water, compasses behaving unpredictably, dense fog appearing without warning, and vessels that never returned home. In the early 1950s, the Japanese government launched an investigation after several fishing boats disappeared in the region. To better understand what was happening, they sent a research vessel named KO Maru No. 5. The ship was equipped with scientists, modern instruments, and experienced crew members. Its mission was simple: study the mysterious area and uncover the truth. But something unexpected happened. The research vessel itself disappeared. More than 30 scientists and crew members vanished without a trace. The incident shocked Japan. Some believed the dragon's triangle possessed the same mysterious force that people associated with the Bermuda Triangle. Years later, geologists discovered that the region is one of the most volcanically active areas on Earth. Powerful underwater volcanoes regularly erupt beneath the surface. These eruptions can produce violent waves, floating pumice fields, and dangerous gases capable of threatening ships. Once again, science offered possible explanations. Yet not every question was answered. Another mysterious region lies far to the north. It has become known as the Alaska Triangle, stretching across one of the most remote wilderness areas in North America. This vast region has become famous for an extraordinary number of disappearances. Since the 1970s, thousands of people have reportedly vanished while hiking, flying, hunting, or exploring the Alaskan wilderness. Many were never found. The area contains towering mountain ranges, dense forests, enormous glaciers, and rapidly changing weather. Search operations are often made extremely difficult by the harsh environment. Some investigators believe nature alone explains most of these disappearances. Others are not so sure. Stories of strange lights, unexplained sounds, and unusual encounters continue to circulate among local residents. Whether fact or folklore, they have become part of Alaska's enduring mystery. Even on land, similar legends exist. The forests surrounding Romania's Hoia Baciu have been called one of the most haunted places in Europe. Visitors have reported losing track of time. Others claim to have seen unexplained lights or experienced strange feelings of disorientation. Scientists have found no convincing evidence of supernatural activity. Yet the stories continue. Why? Because human beings are naturally drawn to mysteries. Throughout history, every civilization has created stories about places that seem different. Sacred mountains, forbidden forests, bottomless lakes, endless deserts. Perhaps these stories served as warnings. Perhaps they helped explain the unknown before science could. Or perhaps they simply reflected one of humanity's oldest instincts: curiosity. Our ancestors looked toward the horizon and imagined what lay beyond. Today, satellites map the Earth in extraordinary detail. Spacecraft explore distant planets. Artificial intelligence analyzes enormous amounts of information. Yet despite all of our technological achievements, mysteries remain. The deep ocean is still one of the least explored environments on our planet. Scientists estimate that more than 80% of the seafloor has never been mapped in high resolution. There are underwater mountains larger than the Alps, canyons deeper than the Grand Canyon, entire ecosystems that no human eyes have ever seen. Every expedition reveals something unexpected: new species, hidden volcanic systems, ancient shipwrecks resting silently beneath kilometers of water. If so much of our own planet remains unexplored, can we truly claim to understand every mystery hidden beneath the waves? Perhaps not. Perhaps the Bermuda Triangle reminds us that Earth still holds secrets, not necessarily supernatural secrets, but natural mysteries waiting to be understood. And maybe that is even more fascinating, because every unanswered question inspires another expedition, another scientific mission, another generation willing to search for the truth. The greatest discoveries in history often began with a simple question: what if there is more to this story than we realize? That question continues to guide explorers today. And it is the same question that keeps the legend of the Bermuda Triangle alive. After more than a century of investigations, thousands of research papers, countless books, television documentaries, scientific expeditions, and endless debates, one simple question still remains. What really happens inside the Bermuda Triangle? Perhaps the answer is far less mysterious than many people imagine. The Atlantic Ocean is powerful. Its weather can change within minutes. Its currents can erase evidence with astonishing speed. Human error, mechanical failure, and natural forces have claimed countless lives throughout maritime history. Many scientists believe these explanations are enough. And perhaps they are right. But there is another side to this story. Not every disappearance has been fully explained. Not every wreck has been discovered. Not every question has an answer. Even today, ships equipped with the latest technology occasionally disappear without anyone immediately understanding why. Aircraft still encounter unexpected weather. Search teams still return empty-handed. The ocean keeps many of its secrets. Perhaps it always will. Throughout history, humanity has feared the unknown. Ancient sailors imagined sea monsters waiting beyond the horizon. Later generations spoke of cursed waters and ghost ships drifting through the fog. Today, we replace monsters with scientific theories, magnetic anomalies, underwater methane, rogue waves, and atmospheric phenomena. Our explanations have changed, but our fascination has not. Maybe the Bermuda Triangle is not important because it cannot be explained. Maybe it is important because it reminds us how much we still have to learn. Despite satellites orbiting Earth, despite artificial intelligence, despite deep-sea robots capable of exploring the ocean floor, we still know surprisingly little about our own planet. More people have walked on the surface of the moon than have explored the deepest parts of Earth's oceans. Think about that for a moment. We have photographed distant galaxies billions of light years away. We have landed spacecraft on Mars. Yet enormous regions beneath our own seas remain almost completely unexplored. Could forgotten shipwrecks still rest silently beneath layers of sediment? Almost certainly. Could undiscovered geological phenomena exist beneath the Atlantic? Very possibly. Could future discoveries finally explain some of the Bermuda Triangle's greatest mysteries? Without question, history has taught us that today's mystery often becomes tomorrow's science. There was a time when giant waves were considered myths. Today, rogue waves are accepted scientific reality. There was a time when underwater volcanic mountains were unknown. Now thousands have been mapped. There was a time when people believed the deep ocean was lifeless. Today we know it is filled with extraordinary creatures unlike anything found on land. Science does not destroy mystery. Science transforms mystery into understanding. And perhaps that journey is the greatest adventure of all, because every unanswered question inspires someone to search for the answer. Every mystery inspires another explorer, another scientist, another expedition. The Bermuda Triangle has become more than a location on a map. It has become a symbol of humanity's endless curiosity, a reminder that no matter how advanced we become, there will always be places that challenge our understanding. Perhaps that is exactly why the legend refuses to disappear. Not because the ocean is hiding magical powers, but because the unknown has always captured the human imagination. And maybe it always will. So, the next time you look across an endless ocean, imagine the thousands of ships that have crossed those waters. Imagine the explorers who sailed toward horizons no one had ever seen. Imagine the pilots who flew into clouds with complete confidence. Some returned home. Others became part of history. Their stories remain with us, not as proof of the supernatural, but as reminders that nature is still capable of surprising us. The Bermuda Triangle continues to invite questions, questions that may never receive complete answers. And perhaps that is exactly what makes it one of the greatest mysteries ever told. But now, we leave the final answer to you. Do you believe the Bermuda Triangle is simply a place where nature is at its most powerful? Or do you think there is still something hidden beneath those waters that science has yet to discover? Tell us what you think in the comments below. Your theory might be different from everyone else's, and that is what makes this mystery so fascinating. If you enjoyed this journey into one of the world's greatest unsolved mysteries, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Ancient Mysteries, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next exploration into history's greatest secrets. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep searching for the truth, because sometimes the greatest mystery is not what we know, it is what we have yet to discover. Thank you for watching.